friends. Welcome back to Universal Talks. And before we dive in, I just want to set the tone. This conversation comes from a pure place of unconditional love. We're exploring these topics through the lens of astrology, energy, and higher consciousness. Not to push any particular narrative, but to offer perspectives that encourage awareness, reflection, and expansion. So, whoops, if something resonates, great. If not, just take what serves you and leave the rest, because the space is for open dialogue and not division. Let's keep it high vibe. So, today you can see I'm joined by the beautiful, wonderful Sonya Wilder, and we're going to get straight to some truth with not so much fluff. And we're going to be looking at some of the most possibly polarizing figures on the planet right now through the lens of astrology. Who? Trump, Elon Musk, and Mr. Bernie Sanders. We're going to look at their natal charts and see how they act as catalyst for change. And we're going to maybe take a little glimpse into the astrological climate, some geoengineering if we have time, we'll see, and just what's written in the stars, because there is just so much shift. So this is going to be deep, expansive, and revealing. So buckle up, open your mind, grab your tea, and let's go. Hi, Sonya. How are you?
Hi, Kenneth.
Cheers.
I'm a little tired, but I'm good. There's a lot of
Yeah,
energy.
a lot of
It's
weight. It's heavy. We were just talking before we
we were
recorded
chatting.
that we all have some just some I personally feel a weight in my chest, just like a everyone just needs to take a breath.
Everybody needs to take a breath. I'm feeling, and it started yesterday. I mean, we're in Pisces season right now. Venus just went retrograde yesterday. And I want to be really clear about what retrograde planets mean because it has become very spiritual pop culture that retrograde means bad.
Yeah.
And there is no bad. It's about awareness.
Mhm.
Retrograde is literally it's an illusion that the axis of the planet starts to rotate counterclockwise. It doesn't actually counterclockwise rotate. What it does is it stops. The energy stops and then the energy goes backwards, but the planet continues to rotate. So when there's a retrograde in the planets, whether you're born under a retrograde planet, like I'm going to take myself, I have two retrograde planets from my birth. Mercury, I was born under Mercury retrograde, and Neptune. Those are like green lights in your natal chart for you to pay attention to those parts of yourself that need to be looked at, slowed down, and really dissected and examined more.
Yeah.
So as Mercury in retrograde, and and this is all under whole sign, and this is not under Placidus. This is under the whole sign house system, which is much simpler, neater, and easier to really decipher.
Okay.
It's it's not better than Placidus, it's just cleaner and easier. So my natal Mercury is in Cancer. It's 0 degrees Cancer. So it's on the cusp and it is in the 11th house and it's retrograde. So I am here to really focus on nurturing and aiding others in communicating out to the collective. And then it directly trines my Neptune, the planet of spirituality, dreams, and also delusions in Scorpio, which is psychic and death and rebirth and all of that. And that's
Yeah.
in the house, the house of siblings and relatives and short distance travel.
Mm.
So I'm here to help the collective to heal those wounds through the siblings, through the relatives, and I have those issues in my family. So that's a big signpost for me.
Okay.
So in your own natal chart, look to see what planets are retrograde when you were born. It's typically Mercury or Venus or Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. You're not going to find Moon retrograde. Moon doesn't go retrograde. Your ascendant, your rising sign doesn't go retrograde. The sun doesn't go retrograde because the sun's a star.
Right.
But Mercury all the way through Pluto have the opportunity to go retrograde when you're born. And that's something that you need to focus on and dive deeply into. It's not a warning, it's a gift for you, it's not a
Yeah.
curse to you.
Hmm.
So, right now with Venus retrograde, for the next 6 weeks, Venus rules the number six. Six is feminine. Venus is feminine. So Venus for 6 weeks is retrograde. It's in Pisces, then it goes into Aries. And what it's asking us to do is to slow down in relationships and look at our patterns. So retrogrades always ask us to look at our patterns. What patterns are you doing unconsciously that are keeping you in a loop, in a rut? Stop, look at it, and be conscious and change. So with Mercury, it's communication,
Mm,
it's technology, it's travel, because travel is about communication. Anything that brings you from A to B, a movement of succession. With Venus, it's what your desires are, what your hobbies are, your friendships, your loves, your relationships, anything that's intimate in your life. It's not necessarily romantic sexual relationships.
mhm,
So slow down and look at it in Pisces. Where can you heal in your intimate relationships while it's in Pisces? What kind of generational wounds can you heal in your intimate life is what Venus in Pisces retrograde asks us to do. As
mm,
it moves into Aries, now what kind of healthy healing action can you take in your intimate relationships? I don't remember the exact day that Venus is going to change while it's retrograde from Pisces to Aries,
mhm.
but you can look that up easily on the World Wide Web and find out what day that is so that you know consciously, okay, now I'm going to take action from my heart because everything's Venus asks us to come into the heart because Venus is the fourth dimension. The heart is the fourth dimension. The throat is the fifth dimension. So Mercury is the fifth dimension. And
Mm.
we just finished the seven planetary rainbow bridge alignment in the sky. Mercury just left that area. So that connects with the seven main chakras.
Okay.
So Saturn for root, Venus for sacral, Mars for solar plexus, Jupiter for heart, Mercury for throat, Uranus for third eye, Neptune for crown.
That's
So right now the focus is Venus. So just for 6 weeks, everyone, please just be really aware in your life of where you are being repetitive in intimate relationships that's no longer serving you in that behavior so that you can stop, focus on your heart, what feels good to you. What do you actually want to express to another that's intimate with you from your heart? Are you fighting with an intimate relationship? Are you having a continuous spar? How can you stop that and instead come from compassion, empathy, and understanding in that relationship in order to heal it?
Mhm.
That's what this Venus retrograde is asking of us.
And would you say, like, just to clarify, when you say intimate relationship, that doesn't just mean like a sexual lover, right? Just anyone that you're close to.
Any intimate you and I have an intimate relationship.
Right.
We have a very deep, and even though we've never met physically, we have had an intimate relationship even before we met on quantumhealers.com YouTube as moderators
Hmm.
for Worldwide Regression Week years ago now. We knew each other right away. That's we have a first we have a spiritual intimate relationship because we're in the same soul family and we're in the same specific soul group team as quantum healers, but we also have many, many lives together, physical lives together. And this life, we will finally come together physically. And those are the kind of intimate, so it could be a spiritual, intimate relationship. It could be an intimate relationship you're having with somebody that you just communicate with on the phone and you've never met in physical presence as well.
Yeah.
Intimate relationships. You and Nina and I are quantum healer besties. The three of us, have this incredible trinity that even though we've never met each other physically, Venus affects us. It's a very intimate relationship. We share our deepest soul with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking about that too, but I'm also speaking about sibling relationships. If they are very intimate, which they are, sibling relationships are incredibly intimate.
Hmm.
These are the relationships with your parents, whether you like them or not, they're still your intimate people. Anybody who's in your family is intimate. If you have a really deep, intimate friendship and you are in physical presence, Venus retrograde affects that.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a time for the next 6 weeks because it went retrograde yesterday. Today's Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. This is not a time to be fighting. When planets go retrograde, I so recommend that you get conscious and that you don't fight. But you breathe, cry, emote, even if it feels like it's so vulnerable and your ego goes, I don't want to give my power away to this person. He's or she's always doing this to me. He's always doing this to me. The way that you stop it is to express your emotions and say, I love you. I don't want to fight. Let's find compassion and empathy. And as
Yep.
I say, inner standing in this. And that will shift it. And you'll find out if the relationship is worth it. Will this intimate person go into compassion, empathy, and understanding with you and agree to open up the heart and to emote with you? You know, I used this in the end of my marriage, and it really helped to dissolve my marriage. So you'll find out who your true intimate relationships are during Venus
Yeah.
retrograde. Wow.
And my little human advice is just go scream in a pillow. Like if you if you feel
Yeah.
that moment that you want to yell, just go let it out in a healthier way. Yoga and qigong, of course, I would recommend as well, but like just to get that energy out versus attacking the person. Just
Don't attack the person. If you've got like for us, I have you and Nina on our communication app, and you guys are some of the first people that I literally go to on the audios. I did last night. I had to rant about intimate relationships, and I literally just go to you guys because we all witness each other. The three of us witness each other, and everything's safe between the three of us. I know I can share anything with you two, and it will be completely accepted. And I know that you and Nina have me. You've got my back. So have somebody like that in your
yeah.
life, whether it's a group, whether it's one person, somebody that before you go off to that intimate relationship that's having issues, see if, you know, if you don't have that, then definitely the pillow, or maybe you have a pet that
Yeah.
you can yell to the pet and go, I'm so sorry about it. Oh.
Oh, that
If
poor
you can do
pet.
that, that's what I recommend during all retrogrades, but especially Venus in retrograde.
Yeah.
So don't fight.
Good
It's a gift.
advice.
Venus for the next 6 weeks. Venus retrograde's a gift. It's a gift.
Mm, I love that perception. I love that. All right, so let's get into it. I'm excited. And
Let's.
real quick, if you're loving these conversations, just take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps more than you know. All
It
right,
does.
let's get into it with Trump.
I
What
know.
are the key placements in his chart that are actively shaping the collective right now?
Okay. Do you want me to share now?
Yeah,
Let's share. Let's see. Let's hopefully this
yeah, let's
is
see if
Trump.
this works.
Should be. This should be Trump up here because I've got this on my screen. Does it say June 14th, 1946?
It
Hopefully it does.
does. Yep.
Thank you. All right. So for Donald Trump, he is such a fascinating character. And I also want to put out there for everybody, I am nonpartisan. And I want to be very clear here. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I did not, but he is a fellow Gemini to me.
Yeah.
He's a fascinating guy. He's got a very powerful chart. And I shared in one of our other universal talks that we did when the election was coming in, I shared that I had learned through listening to my master astrology teachers and by looking at his chart that he was going to win this presidency because his Jupiter was transiting in the 10th house, which is an
Yeah.
expansive reputation. So he's got very interesting aspects in this chart. This is his natal chart. This is not his transits, and I'm not going to do his transits right now because
Okay.
that's very, very complicated, and I want to keep this more simple and more basic.
Yes, for sure.
But he has a couple of really key aspects in his chart. So if we look at the rising sign in the first house, and this is a whole sign chart, so we're going to put all of the planets that are ruled by that sign in that particular house. The first house is ruled by the ascendant, the rising sign, and that's his public self. That's his public persona. And in spiritual aspects of astrology, that is also the higher self. We grow, we mature, we evolve into the rising sign. His is Leo. And he also here, you'll see at the bottom, and his rising sign is 29 degrees. He's the last degree of, because it's 30 degrees for every sign. It's 0 through 29 degrees. So he's 29 degrees Leo rising. It's very extreme. He's an extreme guy. That's one
Yeah.
of the reasons why. He's very dramatic. He loves the spotlight. That's why he's had a ton of shows. That's why he is, and I shared this before in another Universal Talks. He is a member of AFTRA, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists in Hollywood, California. And he's also a member of SAG, Screen Actors Guild. That should tell you a mouthful right
Mhm.
there.
So just to
So,
clarify, because I'm the not the devil's advocate, but I'm
mhm,
the voice for the people watching.
of
The
course,
higher the degree, the stronger that influence.
the stronger the energy of that zodiacal archetype,
Okay.
that sign.
All right.
Yes, my Jupiter is 29 degrees Leo.
Gotcha.
So his his rising sign and my Jupiter are exactly conjunct, which may be one of the reasons why he annoys me. Um, I'm kidding. He does annoy me, but I think he annoys most people.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he came here to do that though. And so
For sure.
this is one of his purposes. So you're going to see Mars, the circle with the arrow going up to the right, is
Mhm.
also in Leo. It's 26 degrees. It's sitting right above his 29-degree Leo ascendant at the bottom of that first house section there.
Hmm.
And he's so if you have a planet in your first house, if you've got more than one, the one that is the closest degree to your rising sign, you're channeling the energy of that planet in your life.
Okay.
His Mars, the planet, the god of war and conflict,
Mhm.
is 3 degrees, 4 to 3 degrees, 3 degrees from his ascendant, his Leo rising. He's
Okay.
channeling Mars and Leo. Mars and Leo wants big attention with war. Let's big
Mhm.
spending. Let's close down the borders. Let's make a big thing. Let's not talk about it with Congress or the House. Let's just do it and take action. And let's change the name of the Panama Canal and let's take over Greenland. Let's make Canada a state. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Mars in
Okay.
Leo talking. It's a lot of bravado.
Hmm.
And it really enhances his 22 degrees Sun in Gemini up here in the 11th house, the house of the collective.
Okay.
It is really emphasizing that Sun in Gemini. And if he's not coming from his heart and coming from his ego and his mind, it's going to be a lot of talk one way, Gemini, and then behind the scenes do the exact opposite,
Yeah.
which is why it's hard to actually take serious anything that he actually says because a two-facedness comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and he
Mm-hmm.
will amplify that to the collective through this nice Gemini stellium. He has 3 planets in Gemini in his 11th house, the house of the collective. He also has North Node up here. That's what looks like the headphones.
Okay.
Yes, and that's retrograde, just like we were talking about retrograde at the beginning of the podcast. This is retrograde. So there's an emphasis on his North Node. That is your karma that you're learning through the outer world.
Hmm.
People think that North Node is your dharma. It isn't actually. All the nodes of the moon are about your karma, what you're learning through your outer reflection, the things you're learning in the current life from your own challenges. He's learning that he's got to start taking action on what he says and mean it. Otherwise, he's the boy who cried wolf and nobody will believe him. And he's learning this in the most public way possible.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a chart where he's going to hide a lot other than like other things that he's already been caught for, like he was literally on trial and found guilty in the middle of his presidential campaign in 2020 or 2024, all of that. So we're looking at Mars really amplified. We're also looking at an opposition here from this Gemini stellium, 3 planets in Gemini that are all conjunct to each other. They're really close together, so they have a hard time seeing themselves. So he has a difficult time seeing his North Node, his what he's really learning. He's a hard time seeing what he's learning.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. And then he's got Uranus, which is about discovery and change and weirdness. And that's also in Gemini, 17 degrees, sitting up in his 11th house. So he has a hard time being able to see how he's changing the world or how the world is changing him. It goes both ways. That directly opposes down here in his 5th house, his moon. He's got a sun moon opposition. He was born on a full moon in Sagittarius. He always wants to speak his truth, and he will literally barrel over anyone else to speak his truth. He's not a good listener at all. He's a big talker, but if he's not coming from his heart, which in my opinion, he's not,
Yeah.
he's gonna bulldoze over people. And this is his south node is down here. That is your karma from other lifetimes playing out. He's got a habit of speaking his truth whenever he wants, especially to his kids, because this is the 5th house, the house that rules his children. This shows me he doesn't really listen to his children very much. Instead, he talks at them. There's a lot of preaching and teaching to them. This is also the house of creativity and artistry. I have a feeling there's actually an artist within him that possibly got repressed as a child by a father who was so business and money and finance driven that he groomed Donald Trump to be just like that. And then Donald Trump just took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So those are the big things that I see in here. He's got his Black Moon Lilith here in the same house. He's got a Sag stellium as well in his 5th house. Black Moon Lilith is the wounded feminine. And so there's past life wounding of not being able to teach, not being a good teacher to his children. It's just playing out again. Like I like to look at the asteroids and all of the minor aspects, because those are
Mm-hmm.
actually telling us what's going on underneath
Uh,
the surface. Yes. So like his Chiron, he's got Chiron, the wounded healer, the wounded masculine is in the 3rd house. So he's got wounds with his siblings because it's in Libra. That's relationships and justice. And it's sitting there as this another stellium with Neptune retrograde and emphasis on being more balanced with his spirituality and his delusions with friendships and with his siblings and with relatives. So there's some difficulties there. And then he's got a diplomatic placement here with Jupiter, which is about expansion in Libra, in the 3rd house, short distance travel, siblings, relatives, but I don't think he's using it very well from what it shows publicly. Okay, so that's the first theme.
wow.
Now, let's see if you tell me if it switches when I switch my page.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
it? Okay, good. Now we're on Elon Musk, June 28th, 1971.
It's my birthday.
Yes, it is. And I'm also born in June on the Gemini side. We share a birth month with Elon Musk. So exciting, isn't it? Yeah, Elon's interesting. And what I want to tie together is the relationship that's going on between Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Bernie Sanders. But right now, I'm going to go into Elon Musk.
Okay.
Elon Musk is a Cancer. He's born and he's Cancer rising. And so you're going to see here in his 1st house, his Cancer rising is in the mid degrees. It's 14 degrees, which is why you see the big bold line more in the center.
Okay.
He's channeling Mercury. Look at Mercury sitting right on his Cancer ascendant at 14 degrees, and Cancer ascendant is 13 degrees. He's a big communicator. It's all about communication for him, but it's about communicating, nurturing, but he had to have had nurturing himself in order to be able to communicate that kind of nurturing. So when I see the masculine coming into a life of a Cancer, and I see that they possibly were not nurtured from their mother in the way that was needed, I see then that they can come through and they can be more dominant, very, very dominant. Cancer, when it's not in the heart, can be dominant through worry and control. And that's what we're seeing from him.
Yeah.
Just worry and control. And of course, he's going to align astrologically with the chart of the United States of America, which is July 4th, which is Cancer. So it's no accident that he came in through the Trump administration in the 2nd term. Now, something that I've been seeing in both of their charts, Kenneth, is that they both have past life karma. It shows up in Mars. So if we go up here to the eighth house, the house of death and taxes, shared money, inheritance, other people's money, and psychic abilities, we see, and we're going to ignore the vertex, the VX there. We're going to go with Mars, which is the circle and the arrow, and we're going to go with North Node, which is also retrograde, just like it's retrograde in Donald Trump's chart.
Okay.
And we're going to see that Elon Musk has his Mars in Aquarius, which is about technology and changing technology, AI, the new consciousness that we call AI, and weirdness with work and money. And he's brought crypto in, he's
Yeah.
changed Twitter, he's started PayPal, all of that.
Yeah.
That's all totally Mars in Aquarius in the eighth house. And he's inherited this whole program that's downloaded into his body, and probably downloaded into his body as he was being born, because this was imprinted for him. This is a part of his life path, is to change finances and the way that we do finances in this world.
Yeah.
But if you're not coming from the heart center, if you're not coming from that mind-heart connection, if it's all in the mind, it's going to go into, and here's some of the past life karma, it's going to go back into the Atlantis timelines where we got out of the heart. We went too much into technology without a balance between earth and technology, and we went off scale. We lost our balance
Yeah.
and it just fell. Elon Musk is a key player in, are we going to go into the mind only and not connect the mind with the heart and go into what we did with Atlantis and fall? Or are we going to see what this character is mirroring to us as a collective? And he's got Taurus ruling his 11th house up here. Now, he doesn't have any planets in there, but Taurus is about finances to the collective. Taurus is, I own, my finances, my money. And that's in his 11th house, the house of the collective.
Wow.
That squares in conflict. Just that sign in that house is conflicting with his Aquarius in the eighth house, other people's money,
Mm.
inheritance. And Elon's Mars directly squares directly opposes Donald Trump's Mars in Leo. They have a direct opposition.
Okay.
It's only a matter of time before their disagreements, they're already disagreeing.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's only a matter of time for their disagreements to start a war between the two of them. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I honestly, psychically, I see it happening in 2 years or less. There's a transit apparently that's coming up for both of their Mars in less than 2 years that is going to cause a big rift, and it'll be very public, very, very public. And the little clues, and I'm sharing with you firsthand of what the guides are bringing in for me, is this going to be the downfall of both of them, or is it going to be the downfall of one of them? Is this because Trump is a part of the much older generation? And I mean, Elon Musk is in my generation. He's a Gen X. I wouldn't call either of them particularly wise. I feel Elon, from my perspective, Kenneth, Elon is much more intelligent than Donald Trump is, obviously.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is literally coming from the first three chakras only, and that solar plexus chakra is just overheated.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I got to take action. I got to do this. We're going to change the name of this, and we're going to do that. We're going to take this, and we're going to take this, and we're going to take this, without a lot of thought and without, what does Congress have to say? Because that's a part of the constitutional government. What does the House have to say? What does the Senate have to say? Because that's a part of the constitutional government. Well, to me, this is showing those of us that are conscious enough to be able to read between the lines that we're seeing some shadow government coming in behind.
Oh, yep.
Because we know there's a constitutional government and there's a shadow government. And these guys, in my opinion, from everything I've observed, and I've really been diving into this way more deeply than I ever have before, because I'm here to help to balance. You're here to help balance this. We're here as the neutrality. We're here as the heart-centered neutrality.
Hmm.
That's our job as quantum healers. All quantum healers, whether they decide that we are going to vote or not, we are here to stabilize duality and to bring in not only the fourth dimension, the heart, but then the fifth dimension, speaking from love for the collective. That's our whole focus as quantum healers.
Yep.
That's our purpose here, is to be neutral. And neutral doesn't mean detached. Neutral means feeling everything, letting it move through your body so that you transcend it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what I'm seeing, what the guides are sharing with me is that there's going to be a crux, and I'm channeling now. There's going to be a crux, a focal point, a fulcrum. They're saying it's going to be in a little bit less than 2 years. I haven't looked at the aspects for this. I haven't actually looked at charts. I'm just literally just channeling what they're telling me.
Okay.
And they're saying, and in the ninth dimensional Pleiadian collective are more in the front on this one. They're really
Hmm.
helping us here. Is that, and the Syrians are involved with this too, and I'll get that to that more when I bring in Bernie Sanders.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, is that we have to see as a human collective, not just as United States, because we know this is affecting the entire world. We have got to see how this karma is playing out and affecting us so that we can make a heart-centered choice as a collective. And then they're saying this is playing out with why so many souls are now leaving their bodies now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many, my parents are on that trajectory.
Hmm.
So many, we're seeing celebrities
Yep.
leaving in very dramatic
Yeah.
ways
And
that
all
we
the
think
plane
that.
crashes, all the accidents. Yeah.
And what you had said on your universal talks that you did yesterday on Sunday, you were talking about the plane
Yep.
crashes, all of that.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. The plane crashes is showing us that we're too segregated. So we've got the aviation aspect, and Trump has cut off support for that. And so we're seeing that fall apart. And then we're seeing Social Security, and they're trying to cut that off. And so that's falling apart. And, food stamps, and pretty soon insurance, and then this. And we're seeing all of these governmental and non-governmental, because the IRS is not a government. The Federal Reserve Bank is not federal, it's not a reserve, and it's not a bank. It's a private corporation.
Yep.
They're trying to get into that and change that as well. I really see, and what the guides share with me is that there are two, because we're in a binary system, there are two aspects to Trump and Musk going into the Federal Reserve and trying to change it. Number one, it needs to change. It has to change. It can't keep going on the way it is. And this is in their charts. This is where their Mars comes in, because Mars is also about business and finances.
Okay. Wow.
Musk here with his Mars is here to change other people's money. Mars and Aquarius in the eighth house, other people's money. Trump there's probably already some discrepancies between the two of them on how they're going to handle it. And it's something with them with finances is what I'm being shown is going to clash with these Mars opposition, and it's going to blow up publicly.
Yeah.
And then what the guides are sharing, one more piece on this, they're saying, is that Trump he will not finish this term as president. I've said that before several times. That's what the guides keep saying.
Yeah.
Not going to finish this presidential term, but they're saying that he won't die.
Hmm.
Death is not what's going to do it.
Fascinating.
And an illness. I don't know.
Right. Wow.
It's fascinating.
It really is.
Was there anything that you wanted to, before I get to Bernie Sanders, was there anything that you
I think you covered it because I was going to ask about his connection to the technology world, but you
Oh yeah, that
beautifully
Aquarius.
covered that. Yeah.
Aquarius, North Node and Aquarius in the eighth
Hmm.
house, bringing new, innovative, and weird financial ideas to
Yeah. I
tell
mean,
you.
Doge, he created just a a meme coin and it just took off. So,
Yeah, that's North Node. That's North Node retrograde in Aquarius in the eighth house.
okay.
And it's aspecting. So he's moon in Virgo. And so that's about serving, but that's through the subconscious self.
Hmm.
So, and that's in the third house. Again, short distance travel, siblings, relatives. Um, it doesn't have any strong aspects to Aquarius here, but okay, here's another quality about Musk is that up there in the 10th house, the house of my reputation, my career, and his midheaven is also up there at 28 degrees, that bold line that with the MC that goes up, those are in Aries. And so he's got Chiron in Aries, the wounded healer. And so there's a deep wounded masculine within him. Uh,
Mm.
Chiron stays in Aries the longest. I still don't know why that is. I find it annoying being a Chiron in Aries myself. Um, Aries is about I am, and it's about the masculine. So obviously, we really need to heal the masculine through Chiron, but that's in his 10th house. He's got the wounded masculine in Aries in the 10th house. That is challenging. And his Chiron is 13 degrees. It directly squares his rising at 13 degrees in Cancer and his Mercury 14 degrees in Cancer. So there's a lot of inner conflict about how he takes action in his career and how he's serving humanity. He's got a lot of subconscious wounding, moon in Virgo down there in the third house, sitting near Pluto in Virgo, 27 degrees, which is about generational wounds. Pluto is generational wounds. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of karma going on here, like a
Yeah.
lot of karma. And so when you look at Musk's personal demeanor, like you watched him on Joe Rogan yesterday, I
Yeah.
watched a little clip of it about him talking about how he would be killed if he spoke about the crypto and all of that.
Hmm.
And he talks about how he's Asperger's. He's got Asperger's, but he's self-diagnosed. I just see that he doesn't know how to regulate his nervous system.
Yeah. You could tell
So
that he's really uncomfortable.
he's really uncomfortable with himself.
Yeah.
Chiron in Aries sitting up there in the 10th house, my reputation. And that's unfavorably aspecting his Virgo, Moon, and Pluto down there. And that is directly squaring his particularly rising sign, his public face, and Mercury, how he communicates his reputation up there. That's difficult. It's really, really hard. And so I'm not so sure if that's necessarily Asperger's. I'm no expert on Asperger's. I will say
Mm.
that right now. I'm not a medical
Yeah.
doctor. I'm not an expert. I'm just as an astrologer, I'm looking at that's the reason why. That's
Interesting.
why. And then that negatively aspects his Jupiter, how he expresses himself, how he expands his consciousness in Scorpio. That's intense. And it's retrograde in the fifth house with his children. So he keeps bringing his child, his son out, X, publicly with him. But according to his chart, that's just a show.
Yeah.
It's not genuine.
Yeah.
And that's actually not helping him to regulate his nervous system at all. In fact, it's exacerbating it.
Hmm. Hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on to Mr. Sanders, just to be the voice for the viewers again.
Yeah.
When you say something is squared, does that mean they're in conflict?
Direct. It's an extreme conflict. It's
So then
extreme.
you also mentioned that when they're conjunct, when they're all close together, it's hard
They're
for them
really
to
close
see each
together.
other. So they're still, would you say that's still also conflict, or how would you describe that then?
Here's an analogy. So when you've got two planets or asteroids in one house in the same sign, if one is 1 degree and the next planet is 2 degrees, they're like twins. They're like identical twins. They're going to have a
Hmm.
really, really hard time looking at themselves. And so
Okay.
there'll be conflict. Whereas if you have one planet in the same sign in that house, that's 1 degree, and the next planet in that house, that's 20 degrees, but they're in the same sign,
Hmm.
they're here. It's going to be a lot easier for them to be able to see each other, and there's going to be more harmony.
Okay.
So it's like that. It's like they're like brother and sister that are born 7 years apart.
Gotcha.
Going to be more harmony. Square, square is conflict. If it's 1 degree in one sign, so we've got So we've got 13 degrees Chiron in Aries for Elon Musk here. And then we've got rising sign in Cancer at 13 degrees. It's really hard for him to see his own wounds about his own masculine, his father, his own masculine archetypes from birth. It's really hard for him to see it.
Hmm.
So when he gets triggered by his women, who he's had all these children with, he'll deflect it onto them.
Right.
Usually there'll be gaslighting. There'll be emotional stinging going on. There'll be a lot of heat and and let's look in his seventh house. His seventh house has got Capricorn. So for him, he'll default more. Seventh house is the house of intimate relationships. For him, he'll go into his work and he'll work all the time and he'll avoid his women. He'll avoid conflict. He'll avoid having that argument with him. And instead, he'll just move on to the next woman because he's got Venus and Gemini in the 12th house. And Gemini is about multiple partners, which is why he's had multiple partners. And in the 12th house, it's about ancestral wounding and healing it. But if he's not in his heart center, he's going to avoid going into conflict with his relationships. And so what does he do? He just keeps going from relationship to relationship to relationship. And he's just building up a lot of karma, is what he's doing. It's just building up a lot of debris. That's what squares can do. Squares, if you are not coming from your heart and you say, I know we have conflict, I'm so emotional about this, which is what would help him because his Cancer wants to express emotion. If he were to say, I'm feeling so emotional about this, can we clear this up, please? Because our relationship is more important to me than the conflict. I love you so much and I learned so much from you and I appreciate you. That's heart language. And so they would.
Yeah.
And instead of going from woman to woman to woman, maybe he could actually like clear up that relationship with that woman. If it's done, they could end it as loving friends. And he could be a great co-parent and a great dad from what I've read. That's not happening so much. And he could end up learning through all of these amazing mirrors. This isn't about whether or not he's not supposed to have multiple partners. I'm not a person who believes that everybody should be monogamous. Not
Right.
everybody should be monogamous. There are people whose charts they're meant to be with multiple partners in life
Hmm.
because we're meant to learn from all angles.
Yeah.
But if you are going to multiple partners because you are avoiding your own wounding, that's a
Yes.
different thing. And what I see in his chart is an avoidance of wounding. How does that affect the United States of America? That he's avoiding his own wounding.
Right.
And instead, he's defaulting to control through finances because that's really what he's doing. Control through finances. I got to control this whole country. I have this, oh my gosh, here I'm just this guy who was born to this really abusive father and a mother who's super narcissistic because all she cares about is her modeling career. And I have used nepotism and I've been chosen by the shadow government. In my opinion, that's what's happened. And now I've been given this open door to the US of A to make changes. What did he do to get that privilege? Let's ask
Hmm.
ourselves that.
Hmm.
And then what does he do? He gets in, but all these wounds are coming out, especially now when the frequencies are changing so much. And we're in 2025. His wounds are coming out. We're also seeing Trump's wounds come out. And so what does Trump do when his wounds come out? He bullies.
Yep.
I don't see Elon Musk bullying. He's going to do the exact opposite of that. He's going to go within because he's got a completely different energy than Trump does. Trump is all extroverted. Elon Musk is more introverted.
Mm.
So he's going to go in and he's going to start messing around with finances because that's what's available to him
Yeah.
if he doesn't work on his wounds. Neither of them are working on their wounds.
Right.
So they are here as a collective mirror to show us as humanity, you need to work on your masculine wounds.
Yep.
That's their purpose. It's a great purpose. I thank them. I think it's a hard lesson for humanity to
It
see it.
is. Yeah.
But again, this is humanity needs to learn through duality.
Yep.
That's the purpose for duality. That's the purpose for the third dimension. So those of us that have moved into the fourth dimension, which would be us here present and quantum healers, and even if you're not a quantum healer, you're practicing psychic mediumship, you're a tarot reader, you're a Reiki master, whatever, you're in the fourth dimension. If you're doing the healing arts in any way, you're in the fourth dimension. You can see all of this. It's
Yeah.
very obvious.
It is.
All right, can I go on to Bernie?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me know when you see it. Did it change?
It did.
Good. Bernie, he fascinates me. He's a September 8th Virgo, and we only have one birth time on him.
Mhm.
Now, we don't know the exact source of his birth time, so it is speculative,
Okay.
but I'm going to go with this anyway because this is the only birth time that we have, and it does really fit what the energy he's putting out, the persona he's putting out does fit this chart.
Okay.
So he's got a Virgo stellium. He's got Neptune, North Node, and notice all three of them have North Node retrograde.
Yeah.
All of them. North Node, again, is what I'm learning through the challenges in my current life. So he's got his Sun, his North Node retrograde, and his Neptune all in Virgo in the 11th house, another 11th house. He's serving humanity through grassroots movement because Virgo's Earth. It's
Okay.
grassroots. And he's very detailed with his communication to humanity. He gets on YouTube. He's out in the Senate. The Senate House is almost nobody's almost there. And there's Bernie standing at the podium literally telling Donald Trump and Elon Musk and everybody else, and he's calling them the oligarchs and da da da. And this is, do you want this? And I'm for the people, by the people, of the people. He is. I truly believe that he is for the people, by the people, of the people. He grew up in a very difficult childhood to working class American parents. They didn't have any money. He shares this himself all the time. They lived paycheck to paycheck. It shaped him, it formed him. You can see it in his chart. He has Venus here with Mercury in the 12th house. He is a leader of healing humanity through justice for all, justice for the underdog, justice for the seniors, justice for the misunfortunate children, the starving, the poverty stricken. And he's going to go with the US first. And you'll see this in the 12th house with his Venus and his Mercury in Libra. That's why he is able to stand up there publicly and speak out. Let's build balance. Let's build justice. He's all about the justice system. He's in the perfect place for this. He also has his midheaven, which is the career in Virgo, 8 degrees over here in the 11th house with this Virgo stellium. He's really, his career is to serve the collective through the details, communicating the details of how we need to create justice. This guy's a freedom fighter. He's a
Okay.
big freedom fighter. Now, here's a key piece. We're going to go to his Mars over here in the 6th house in Aries, literally sitting not exactly conjunct. You'll see 23 degrees Mars in Aries in the 6th house, sitting just above Moon, 19 degrees in Aries. So here's an example of a conjunction. Two planets in the same sign, but they're not so close together. They're like siblings.
Okay.
They're able to see more. So his subconscious, Moon is the subconscious, the inner child, can see and support more the action that Mars and Aries wants to take in the 6th house, health, service, serving. This guy's big life theme is to serve. Look at his Mars, it's retrograde. Slow down. Look at the vision that you're serving the world through. Aries is vision, the visionary. What vision do you want to take action on? Look what Bernie's saying. I have a vision of bringing everybody together in democracy so that everyone is fairly heard and supported. No one needs $1 billion. Let's take that and let's distribute that to all of the citizens so that we all have enough, we're all equal, and we can support each other and get back to earth. He even talks about we do need technology. Technology is wonderful, but let's use it in balance to serve us, to bring us together physically, and to build a better world. I've been listening to speeches. This guy's amazing.
Yeah.
I really do. I love him.
Wow.
Not partisan. If he ran, he's an independent. He ran, I would vote for him. I really would. If he got back on when he was running, I did not vote for him because I wasn't voting at the time, but I
Yeah.
would actually come out of not voting and I would vote for Bernie Sanders. Nonpartisan, for the people. He wants a democratic government. He wants a democracy. He's looking for a cooperative, like a co-op.
Right.
Everybody has their vote. Hang on, we can't make a decision because we haven't heard, Jane Doe next door and what she has to say. She's a citizen. She has a right to speak before we make a decision on this. Jane, what do you think about this? That's what he's talking about. That is what he's for, which is why he's not very popular with the higher ups. They
Right.
don't want him. They want him out. He's still there because of all of the US citizens that are fighting for him to stay in there. I see him bringing great change. Now, here's something interesting, Kenneth, is he's got Uranus, the planet of change and discovery, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion and friendships and connections, in Gemini, sitting in the eighth house, which are actually very harmonious with Elon Musk's little stellium he's got in
Okay.
Aquarius there. There might be a chance that he and Elon could have some sort of a talk at some point.
Mhm.
That popped out at me last night when I was looking at this chart.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
He could. He possibly could. Okay, so here's the connection now. And by the way, I'm just looking at this. He's got Pluto, generational wounding and healing in Leo, and Chiron, the wounded healer in Leo, which is the father. Leo's the father. He's got that in the 10th house of his career. He's also helping humanity to heal the father wound.
Mm.
I see a theme now between the three of them. Mars is a theme between
Yeah.
them. It's
Yeah.
a big theme. Chiron is a big theme between the three of them, the wounded healer.
Huh.
I see this big theme between the three of them. Now, I asked the guides last night, I said, what is the karma that these three masculine archetypes that are representing the wounded masculine? Yes, even Bernie Sanders is representing the wounded masculine. What are the three of them showing to humanity? And the guide said, it goes before the fall of Atlantis. And I asked, for the three of them, were they in the fall of Atlantis? Yes.
Mm.
They were key players in the fall of Atlantis, which is why that karma is coming up now. I said, where does it go to? And they said it goes to Orion's belt in the Orion star system.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I said, can you please tell me and show me what each one of them represent? They said Bernie Sanders represents Sirius and Sirius's play in the Orion Wars.
Okay.
I said, wow. They didn't give me any more information than that. I asked them to give it to me in dream time, and I didn't get it in dream time. I said, what does Elon Musk represent? They said Elon Musk represents the Elohim.
Mm.
The Elohim. And they said the Elohim's play in the Orion Wars and how the Elohim want, and I'm going to speak in quantum time. It's all happening now simultaneously because it just continues to loop.
Yeah.
It's a looping program that the Elohim have, they're saying have helped to create, to instigate, basically.
Yeah.
It's having a ripple effect on Earth. Earth is caught up in its trajectory. Earth is caught up in the Orion Wars trajectory, is what they're saying. And then I asked about Trump, and they said Trump is connected to the Lyrans or the Lyrans, depending on how you pronounce it. I pronounce it Lyrans, but
Yeah.
those are the ancient humans, and that's the planet before Earth that humans, the hominids originated from. And they said he's actually a descendant of the hominids. And they laughed. They said, can't you tell?
Mm.
So Trump would he more represents like, Sasquatch,
Yeah.
burly, brute stuff,
Right.
really human, really in the first three chakras.
Mm.
I'm in a fist fight, Celtic warrior kind of thing. I'm a Germanic dude who's all hairy and I'm going to fist fight you. And Elon is coming from a much, much higher. I mean, Elon's not had a whole lot of human lives. He left for a long time. They're telling me he was here for Atlantis, then he left. And they said he's like the Elohim hand coming in and playing their role. This is all very, very karmic. I don't have all of the information on this. I'm giving the information on this that I've received, but there's karmic galactic wars that are playing out on this. Here we go. Here's the information about this. Let me take off my glasses. I can see the records more easily. Because This planet was created originally, Gaia Sophia or Terra, she has several names, as a meeting place to exchange knowledge in order, well, they're saying melting pot. It's like, yeah, that's like a melting pot. This planet is a place where we bring, oh, it's almost like the temples in the fourth dimension where we go in dream time, where we go into the temple and we stand up one at a time in the temple and we share what we've been learning in all of our lifetimes so far.
Wow.
That's what Earth is. I never
Okay.
thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
How fascinating. So Earth, she's like the podium. She's like the temple where we come and we've had all of this experiences and all of the other galaxies and star systems. And so we come to Earth and we share and we get to experience and learn and grow exponentially.
Mm,
So that's why this is happening here. So we've got Orion Wars playing out here. They said there's Syrian Wars, there's Pleiadian Wars, and all of that got pulled into the Orion Wars trajectory. They're saying just think Star Wars and George Lucas. Just think
right.
that. You got this. That's what this is about, just like
Yeah.
Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry. And they're saying that there's Andromedan Wars that are playing out here. They said the Arcturian Wars, those faded off, but we're seeing a lot of wars of star systems that are very much influencing our planet. And this is what I'm compiling information for my March's quantum healing webinar, my donation-based webinars. This is all coming in for that because I still don't know what the webinar is fully about. This has been coming in now for 2 days and they're showing it to me.
Right. It's fresh, hot off the press.
Yes,
I
this
love it.
is intense.
I love
This
it. Yeah, I'm here for it, as you know.
you did come here for
So before you close Sanders, so we can see our beautiful faces bigger, just curious if there's like, say, in the second, third, and fourth house that's completely empty. Does that mean anything?
It
No?
just means it does mean something. And that's a really great question. First, second, third, fourth house, you're going to see in the first house his ascendant at Scorpio rising there at 25 degrees. So
Yeah.
he's that's ruled by Mars traditionally. So he's very intensely and aggressively taking action to put out that we need to change the death of the old system and the rebirth of the new. The second house is ruled by Sagittarius for Bernie Sanders. That's the house of finances I own. And that, even though with Sag, that plays out for him, still he doesn't have any emphasis in that house. It's still important, but it's not an emphasis for him in this lifetime. Third house for him is ruled by Capricorn, and that's about siblings, short distance travel, and relatives like aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff. Again, it's just not an emphasis for him in this lifetime. The fourth house for him is ruled by Aquarius,
Mhm.
and the fourth house is the house of the mother, the home, the parents, and nurturing. That's just not a big emphasis for him. He had a good relationship with his parents, he shared. They're just hardworking class people. Once we get into his south node in the fifth house, and his IC is actually in the fifth house. So the IC is the opposite of the MC. That is his personal focus in life, the internal focus in life, because the MC is the career, your outer focus in life. The
Okay.
IC is the inner focus in life, and his south node is there. So that means that he might have some issues with his children and that he needs to learn from his children on what to let go of, because Pisces is about healing the past and generational wounds. South node is about your karma from past lifetimes and what you need to let go of. So there's a lot of things, and his children are helping him to let go of. I have a feeling he's probably a pretty good father. He seems to be that way. You can kind of tell by a person's character when they're on camera and how they act in there. I mean, he's all about family and community. And I'm sure there's sacrifice for him in his home life. I'm sure something, I mean, he's got a difficult seventh house. He's got Black Moon Lilith and Taurus, and Black Moon Lilith is the scorned feminine. And in Taurus, it's about I own my money. So he's probably had some difficulties in his personal relationships, particularly love, romantic, sexual relationships. And he's got Saturn in Taurus. So he has a fear of losing money through marriage.
Okay.
Saturns are your fears, your restrictions. So, and Taurus is money and finances. So he has a fear of losing money. So he's working through a lot of lack stuff through his marriage, a lot of lack programming through his marriage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And there's, let's see what the aspects are, 20 degrees. Yeah, that's affecting his 11th house. But you know what? What I really appreciate about Bernie is that he communicates all of this publicly. You'll learn a lot about his personal life by listening to his speeches.
Right.
He knows he's a public figure, so he's not going to hide a lot.
Hmm.
He's really communicative about that. So I really appreciate him. You're not going to see a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde with him. He can't get away with that because he's got his Gemini ruling the eighth house, the house of death and taxes and psychic stuff and other people's money, shared resources. There's no room for that because it changes so much for him. So he's got to disclose everything. And in his 80s, he's learned pretty well that he's going to have to. He's been so public for so many decades.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing is the consistency with it.
Yeah, he's really consistent.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay. That was
that's
fascinating.
that's that. I'll stop the share. Are we back on?
I feel like, yes. Hi. I feel like I want to do this again, but I'm feeling inspired to do like, I don't know why, but Joe Rogan. I'm curious about RFKs. So I'm already like getting a list. That would be a good one.
Yeah, if we can focus on like three or four
Yeah,
characters,
this was really cool. And I learned a lot.
do
I
that.
really did.
But we also I don't know, I'm probably not even letting you asking me any of the questions
You
that you have.
essentially, of course, were answering them as I would answer them or ask them, I mean. So it's all
Yeah.
good.
But we talked about whether or not we'd have any time to talk about geoengineering, and I did
Yeah,
want to bring it up really quickly.
for sure.
It's a huge subject. I actually
It
just finished
is.
watching the documentary on YouTube called Geoengineering.
Oh,
It's a good
is
documentary.
it?
It's yes, watch
Okay.
it on YouTube for free.
Okay.
I'm not a film watcher, don't watch them anymore,
Right.
but
Yeah.
up and took me a few days. I listened to it and watched it. It's very scientific. It's just hardcore information. It's talking about that it's actually going on, that military aerosol chemtrails are absolutely real. The rainfall from after they spray has been completely tested, is off the charts with heavy
Oh, yeah.
metals,
Oh, yeah.
and literally testing people's health and how it's affecting our health and wellness. But this is something that Bernie Sanders is trying to bring into the public arena as well and
Good.
trying to stop, and has mentioned it a few times. And I feel like it's very connected because I mean, all of this is like, what in the world? Who in the world in this talk? They talk about this in the geoengineering documentary. If I didn't send it to you, I'll send it to you. It's
Yeah. I'll put it
watch
in
it.
the description too for the viewers.
Do. It's so worth it. And it's not very long. It's this is playing out as in you have to ask the question, who would do this to humanity? Who would, when they talk about it
It's made my
being
heart skip a beat. It just,
dimming,
oh,
I
oh,
think it's called the dimming. I think the documentary is called the dimming. It's called the
okay.
dimming of the sun, the dimming. It's not
Mm,
called geoengineering, it's called the dimming. Sorry.
okay.
And who would do this? Bill Gates
Seriously.
is just the front guy for this.
Yeah.
He's the front guy.
Yeah.
And the people behind him are so absolutely psychopathic that they would do this to humanity and do this to themselves.
Yeah.
Because, hello,
Yeah.
whether you're on the planet or whether they're in the planet, whether they're underneath the grounds in the tunnels, doesn't matter. It all affects us. But they're so stuck in separation consciousness that they are literally, obviously unable to realize that we're all one. I mean, that's so simple, but they're not
I
seeing that.
know. I know.
They're not seeing it. But then I was asking the guys, because I didn't even look at a chart for this. I just asked the guys, I'm like, where in the chart of like humanity would chemtrails, airplanes, aeronautical, all of that, military, all of that, what houses, where would that be in the chart? And they shared, of course, it would be in the second house, the house of finances, because it's about money. The eighth house, the house of death and taxes. and the 10th house, the house of career and reputation. But then they said there's also a sixth house, the house of health and service.
Mm.
There's these deep, unfavorable aspects to it. Now I'm asking right now here live, I'm asking, how can we remedy this? What's the solution to this? And they're sharing. This is why we literally are just coming from the rainbow bridge of the 7 planets that we were able to see in the sky from February 26th to February 28th that we just passed when Mercury joined them, bringing up the 5th dimension, the 5th chakra, the throat chakra with Mercury. But the 6 planets have been aligned since January, and they're still aligned going into March. And so we still have all of the other 6 chakras with those 6 planets, Saturn, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. Those are all still in alignment. And the guides are saying, did you just see that line go across your screen?
Yeah, I did.
Uh-huh. They're saying, the guides are saying, align your own internal rainbow bridge, connect mind with heart,
Yes.
and focus on self-love, because what they're reminding us is that it doesn't take many of us to come into the rainbow bridge within in order to create the rainbow bridge without. They're saying it only takes 100 souls to focus on the internal rainbow in order to start to create a frequency change. Just like when we see those great videos of like sand sitting on a metal plate and
Yeah.
somebody turns on a higher frequency and the sand suddenly moves
Yep.
into a sacred geometrical shape, depending if it's a 528 hertz or a 428 hertz, as opposed to a 32 hertz,
Right.
where suddenly they're all scrambled. They're saying, remember, if you're vibrating at the heart center, which is starts at 428 hertz, you're going to change the frequency of the collective. You're going to start seeing different patterns in the skies. Because and I want to talk about this quickly. There
Yeah.
is this spiritual bypassing program of the new earth is a place that we go to that is a different place than the
Yeah.
3D earth that we're on. It's not. We're not going anywhere. We're staying here. So our frequency has to vibrate higher so that we are changing the frequency of the collective. And then we will see a physical difference without.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big confusion. I feel like it's just a whole other physical place. Like, yeah. Yeah,
It is.
I like that.
So all of this, I mean, this is why it's so important that we are aware of these 3 archetypes: Trump, Musk, Sanders. The reason why those 3 have come up, because they're big players. They're big, big players. I see the potential for Elon Musk to change.
Okay.
I don't for Trump. I don't see him changing.
Hmm.
I think it'll be his death.
Yeah,
That's
unfortunately,
what I
but
see.
yeah.
I see his death, but I see Musk with that Aquarius stellium in his 8th house, Kenneth. I see that Trump has he's young enough still, only early 50s. I see that is an opportunity for him to do some deep healing through this particular economic appointed expert for the US of good old A.
Yeah.
I do. And I see a potential. We'll see if those timelines align. I see a potential for he and Bernie Sanders, I don't know, to do some sort of work together, whether it's physical or if it's just etheric and spiritual realm. I don't know. But there's something.
We'll have to stick around and find out.
I know, right?
That's all we can do. Oh, this has been fascinating. Of course, we can just keep going forever. To wrap it up a little bit, you kind of mentioned right now the Venus retrograde. Is there any other things in the stars written that the collective should know about?
Yeah, March 15th, Mercury goes retrograde as well.
Okay.
So what you've been sharing, you share this, you've been sharing this on social media, you've been sharing this with Nina and I privately. Everybody needs to take big breaths and slow down because with Venus and Mercury both retrograde in the month of March, and Mercury goes retrograde for about 3.5 weeks, give or
Yeah.
take, several times a year. If you don't slow down, we're going to start seeing even more accidents that we're already seeing. All, the airline industry in the United States, it's falling. It's not working. It's definitely not working for us. I just personally would recommend this is probably not a good time to fly in the US.
Yeah.
I
Seriously.
wouldn't. Like, there's Amtrak. Hello. If you don't have a car, there's buses. There's the whole, I don't think the Greyhound in our area got taken over by another company, so it has a different name. I think it's called the Click Bus, something like that. But anyway, there's buses, there's
Right.
transits, there's
Yeah.
train. Try something different. Try something that you haven't done before. Try rideshare. You know, don't
Seriously.
fly. This is not a good time to fly.
I know. And it's hard because everyone just wants to get the hell out of here. I
So
get
that's another thing. And I've been investigating that as well as moving back to Latin America, which I lived at when Trump got his first term. But that's the problem is that there's too many Americans leaving the US. And so it's not going to help other countries economically, and they're starting to get crowded.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Mexico is definitely not the place to go. United States citizens, not a place to. Mexico is becoming very pricey. I've already been investigating Mexico between too many expats moving there and the cartels are having challenges. And now Trump has closed off the borders and that's not easy. So Mexico is definitely not the place to go. But I don't know. All I do know is that the US economy is crashing. We're moving towards a recession. It's not speculative. We are moving towards a recession. It has to. We have to go to a recession. We can't stay up. Can't always stay up. The United States is no longer head honcho.
Oh,
We are no longer at the top. BRICS has come in and is taking over the US dollar. The US dollar has already plummeted. It is no longer the most powerful dollar on the planet. We've already lost. And we got to do something to change it. We have to come back together. We're being forced to come back together. We can talk about it all we want, but now we have to take action to do that.
yes.
So this is not time to fly. Mercury going retrograde on March 15th. Slow down,
Yes.
breathe, simplify your diet as a nutritionist. And as a raw plant-based eater, I will tell you, simplify what you're putting in your body.
Mm.
Stop supporting the large corporations. If you're still going to Starbucks, please stop going to Starbucks. If you're shopping at Costco, please stop. If you're buying on Amazon, I know this one's hard for a lot of people. I
Yeah.
don't buy on Amazon. Stop buying on Amazon. There's another line that just went across.
Hmm.
Stop buying on Amazon. Stop. Like, stop. Buy local. Shop
Yeah.
local. Get
Yeah.
back to your mom and pop stores. I do. I shop at my local health food stores. I buy my clothes. This was made, handmade by a wonderful organic clother and seamstress in my area in Oregon, the Flower of Life. It's organic cotton. I love it. The shorts I'm wearing are organic hemp made by the same woman in this area. I am transitioning
Awesome.
wardrobe to local
Yeah.
seamstresses, all natural fiber. It works. My medallions were handmade. I do handmade.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
that. Buy local. Go to your local farms.
Hmm.
Support.
Yeah, I'm excited to now that spring's finally coming here in Michigan to get back out to the farmers markets myself
Look
because
at this. I bought this at the farmer's market,
I
made
love
by
that.
a local potterer. Love this. This was my Mother's Day gift to myself when we first moved to this area years ago now.
Love it.
It's the way to do. Just go local, local, local. Eat local. Like if you're buying like I stopped eating imported fruit from Mexico. I was for years. I stopped.
Yeah.
I'm in an area that has an abundance of berries, so I'm
Right.
eating berries until our fruit season kicks in here.
Yep. I got lots of
Buy,
apples. Apples and cherries is what we got in Michigan.
they're great.
Yeah, they're
Buy them,
good. They're good.
eat them, eat your local produce, and start getting a garden again if you can and grow your own food. I grow my own sprouts and microgreens because
Mm,
that's all I can grow here because they spray outside. So
mm.
we don't have a yard, and my cats will eat everything inside. So just do sprouts. I grow my cat grass, but if you've got a yard, man, start a garden. We used to
Mhm.
do that when I was a kid. My mom always had a garden.
Yeah. That would be a fun episode, like a starter's guide to you can have like little because you always have your little setup gardens everywhere you are, and it's not like you have to have, like you said, a yard. If you
You
have
don't.
space, you can make it work.
You can, and there's the Earthbox company here
Yeah.
in the US, and you don't have to go to Amazon for Earthbox. They have their
Right.
own website.
Yep.
I invested in 2020 in like 6 or 7 Earthboxes. I'm only using one right now because we don't have space for any more, but
Mhm.
Earthboxes, and they give you the start. It's a whole starter kit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
thing, and it's literally a box up on casters. So the caster wheels, you can move them around, you can lock them down. Earthbox, it's the way to go. You can make your own sprouts from the Now Foods company. I'm not affiliated with either of these companies. I use what they offer. So Now Foods, you can do your own sprouts and
Mhm.
microgreens in your own kitchen. Go to Now Foods and Earthbox.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Oh,
time. It's time for us to get to it now. We can't pay lip service to it anymore. We actually have to take action. There's that
yep.
Mars we're talking about with those 3 men. Doesn't matter where your Mars is, take action.
I agree. I agree. Sonia, incredible, incredible. How about any final words or just some takeaways that you intend that the viewers take?
I would love for everybody, first of all, to really come into their heart center. That's the number one theme of all of this. Come into your heart center. What does that mean? That means that any emotions that you're repressing, you have to express them. You have to express your emotions. That's how you're going to get to your heart center. I've had many of my clients ask me, you talk about the heart center. How do I get there? I'm so in my head. How do I get in my heart center? When was the last time you cried?
Yeah.
I've had one client who's one of my regular clients. She was like, oh my God, I don't even want to go there. That's where you need to go to.
Yep.
Yes, go there.
Yep.
Whether you have sessions with us or not, whether you have Kenneth's sessions, whether you have my sessions or not, we'd love for you to have sessions with us so that we can help you to cry and to get into your heart center, because that's literally the key that you have to do to get into your heart center is you have to emote. So if you're repressing emotions, especially the deepest ones, and the deepest wounds are father-mother wounds.
Yeah.
Father-mother wounds and then sibling wounds. That's your first wounds from birth. And if you feel like you need help in getting down to that deep grief, then have sessions with us, have sessions with Kenneth, have sessions with me. We're here to hold your hand, literally. If you can't do it online, do it with us in person. I've literally, when I give sessions in person, I've literally during BQH sessions held my clients' hands while they're on the hypnosis bed.
Mm.
And they've been able to sob, and then all of a sudden they got light language coming out of them, and they're like, "Oh, where'd that come from?"
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So emote, heart center. You're going to navigate through this year with so much more grace and balance and ease because it brings you back into your own state of compassion and empathy and inner standing.
Yes.
That's where we're going to. That's 5D. 5D is compassion, empathy, and inner standing. So that's what I would say to everybody.
Awesome. I love it. And where can the viewers find you?
They can find me through my website. It is under construction right now. My webmaster and I are redoing it. So if you go to my website, sonyawilderwellness.com, you can message me. You can DM me through my website. My email is on there as well. So if you want a BQH, an energy healing session, or the life health coaching package with me, send me a Gmail, sonyawilderwellness@gmail.com. All of my socials are Sonya Wilder Wellness. You can also DM me on Instagram as well. I look
And
at
your upcoming webinar?
my upcoming webinar. I don't have the title for it yet, but just send me an email and I will be posting it probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll be doing a YouTube vlog about it. And so go to my YouTube, Sonya Wilder Wellness. That's where I first announce my webinars, and my Instagram. So I'm on Instagram and YouTube Those are my two big socials. I am on TikTok, but I don't post on TikTok. But Kenneth, you're the one who got my TikTok going. Thank
Yeah.
you. Nobody messages me on TikTok. So,
Yeah. It's
and where can people
you
find
have
you?
enough going on.
What have
I
you got going on, Kenneth? What's going
I
on?
am at kennybakerii.com. Of course, all the links will be in the description to make it easy for everyone. And I just thank you. Thank you, Sonya. This is always such a pleasure. We always want to do it more, but with schedules, it's
I,
never easy.
I
But
know,
we are
and we cut
practicing
this short.
ourselves to slow down. It's
We cut this short. We could have gone on for another
oh my
hour.
God, so much more. So much more. Like I already had like three more episodes planned in my head for us already. Like that's just how we do. That's how we do with our powers combined.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you for your
You-
insights, for your wisdom. Thank you to everyone tuning in. If you're feeling activated by this, drop a comment. Let us know. We always respond. We read every single one and share your thoughts. And let's just keep this conversation going. And if you
Yes.
haven't already, please, we invite you to like, share, and subscribe. It helps get
Subscribe to.
powerful messages out to the collective, to all
We
who need
need
it.
your support. So
So
subscribe to Kenneth's
simple.
channel,
Yes.
please, and comment and hit the thumbs up. It makes a
Yeah.
huge difference, and we really need to get this information out there. We need the algorithms to love our content.
Yes.
So you got to take action on that. There's Mars talking. Take some action.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Yes. All right. Until next time, everyone have an amazing everything, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you.